Good evening and welcome. Hong Kong will further ease its social distancing restrictions starting Thursday.
However, some regulated premises such as bars and nightclubs will remain closed until May 19th. Christy Khan reports.
Yesterday was the first time the city's COVID daily tally fell below the 300 mark in more than 3 months. Speaking ahead of the Executive Council meeting, Chief Executive Carrie Lam said the relaxation of some anti-pandemic measures announced earlier will take effect 2 weeks ahead of schedule as a result of Hong Kong's stabilizing COVID situation. Lam said swimming pools, beaches and water parks will be allowed to reopen from Thursday. Furthermore, sports lovers can take their mask off while exercising outdoors. In the catering sector, 8 diners per table will be allowed at restaurants.
Because the Mother's Day is just around the corner, and we will allow 8 persons to be seated per table. We hope that by relaxing the number of patrons allowed in the table, 3 generations, the grandmother and mother and also the 3rd generation can share a table together.
Lam also said the second phase of the relaxation of social distancing measures will take place as scheduled. Starting from the 19th of May, premises like bars, party rooms, and nightclubs can resume business. Bars will be allowed to reopen and operate until 2 a.m., with a maximum of 4 people per table. For eateries, they are allowed to stay open until midnight and host banquets of up to 120 participants. In addition, cinemas will be able to operate at 85% capacity and people will be allowed to eat and drink at the venue. The mask rule for indoor exercise will be lifted as well. Despite the relaxation of these measures, Lam said the authorities will step up enforcement of the vaccine pass scheme. The third phase of the scheme, which will come into effect by the end of May, will require residents to have taken 3 COVID jabs before being allowed to enter various premises. Christy Khan, TVB News.
Hong Kong logged fewer than 300 new COVID infections for the 2nd day in a row. Of the 290 new cases, there are 269 locally transmitted cases and 21 imported ones. With the resumption of face-to-face lessons, COVID positives from schools continue to be found. The latest cases came from 42 schools involving 37 students and 8 teaching staff members. 18 of them were found this morning via rapid tests, with the rest detected over the Labor Day long weekend. Meanwhile, 6 more COVID patients died. Starting Friday, non-emergency wards from 26 hospitals will resume special visitation arrangements. The patients' designated relatives who have been vaccinated will be able to visit them once or twice every week. The city is set to have its 4th cross-harbour railway in mid-May. With the new extension link of the East Rail Line, passengers from the new territories can reach Hong Kong Island directly by rail.
But there could be disappointment for those hoping for cheaper cross-harbour fares. Jackie Lin reports.
On May 15th, a new chapter for the East Rail Line, as the railway is poised to link Hung Hom Station to Admiralty with a new convention centre station. That means train passengers from the new territories can cross the harbour with no interchange at all. The MTR Corporation estimates the 19-minute ride from Hung Hom Station to Admiralty Station with interchanges could be shortened to 7 minutes, or 36 minutes from Sha Tin to Causeway Bay with just 1 interchange needed. That's 9 minutes faster than now. But the MTR has been plagued by a string of service disruptions in recent years. Could passengers be assured over smooth operations of the new extension link?
For any train, new or old, should they be put into operation, they must be sound and safe. They are under very close scrutiny examination before they were allowed to start operate.
Earlier, lawmaker Ben Chan flagged the unfair cross-harbour pricing mechanisms between Mong Kok and Mong Kok East stations. Despite that, the rail giant is not budging in terms of fares.
The fare setting is based on the origin and destination, irrespective of which routes they will take.
To accommodate the new train platforms, there will be new carriages for the East Rail line with their passenger loads down about a quarter.
Remember, when the Timor line opened, 30% of the passengers for East Rail line has moved to use the Timor line. So we believe more usage, even across the border opening. The new trains, the new line will be able to cope with the demand.
The new Cross Harbour section is part of the Shatton to Central Rail Link. Dubbed the costliest rail project, the decade-long scandal-hit works have been hounded by multiple construction delays and cost overruns. On that, the transport chief says reviews with the rail operator has been ongoing. Jacqueline, TVB News.
Well, starting tomorrow, the treatment facility at the Asia World Expo will close and serve as a backup facility.
The government will also host a farewell party on Friday to thank the mainland support team before they leave the city this week.
During the height of the pandemic, the community treatment facility at the Asia World Expo was mainly used to accommodate elderly patients. With the pandemic situation easing, the facility will close starting tomorrow and will be, as Chief Executive Carrie Lam said, on standby mode. She added there will be a farewell ceremony on Friday to thank the last batch of mainland medical workers who are leaving the city.
I like to express my deep gratitude for the help in looking after our patients. Mainland medical staff came to Hong Kong and they had enjoyed very good cooperation with our local staff, and I think that has laid a very solid foundation for further cooperation between our medical staff in Hong Kong and the mainland.
When asked if the current government will lay a solid foundation for the next administration on her proposal to restructure the government, Lam said she aims to have the bill passed in LegCo before her term ends on June 30th. She said she's confident the 90 lawmakers working under the theme of patriots administering Hong Kong are capable of completing relevant works. As to whether the bill to scrap the MPF's offsetting mechanism will be approved before June 30th, Lam said it will depend on LegCo.
We have had extensive discussions, and the government is going to commit heavily financially to help SMEs, to help to adapt to the new environment after the abolition.
Lam called on all political parties and their lawmakers in LegCo to prioritize labour rights and pass the bill soon.
Well, starting today, secondary schools and kindergartens resumed half-day in-person classes. Reopening their doors included this secondary school in Kwai Chung. Students have to show a negative rapid test result before heading back to the classroom. Some say they're happy to finally see their classmates. For the handful of students who forgot to get COVID screened, their parents had to be notified before they took the rapid tests in a playground. For kindergartners, rapid test results have to be checked daily as well. They've also stepped up disinfection work. Earlier, the government said all students of all grades should be able to return to campus by mid-May, but the resumption of full-day classes will hinge on the vaccination rates among students.
Welcome back to TVB News. Chief Executive election candidate John Lee is continuing his campaign by making public visits to garner support.
Lee also thanked the government for setting up the CE-elect office to ensure a smooth transition to a new term of government. Lee was in Aberdeen today, where he was greeted by residents. He then exchanged views with members from the agriculture and fisheries sectors and said he will think of ways to better promote those areas. He also thanked the current administration for setting up the CE-elect office in Wan Chai. It will begin operations after the new CE is elected this Sunday until June 30th. The director of the administration, Daniel Chung, has been appointed the Secretary General of the office. Meanwhile, former Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying will reportedly attend Lee's campaign rally on Friday.
John Lee has earlier outlined his plans to tackle the housing crisis in Hong Kong by establishing new task forces to streamline land development procedures. Speaking on TVB's Straight Talk program, Ling Kar-kan, a former director of planning, agreed with Lee's vision and suggested how Hong Kong can speed up the land development process.
The statement of removing red tapes is always right. But the point is, what are these red tapes? All these regulations and procedures or considerations are relevant and necessary. I think the point is how we can do this quicker and how we can better integrate all this process instead of doing consequentially, doing completing A and then B and then C. Can A, B, C to a certain extent overlap with each other so we can compress, the process.
Ling, who is now an academic, emphasized development regulations and procedures are still relevant and necessary. Ling added the city doesn't have to convert country parks into housing land, as there are some greenbelt sites outside country parks which are suitable for future land development. He said Hong Kong has lost 20 years' time in the land development process as a result of the Asian financial crisis and political oppositions.
Using Moscow's proposed scheme for foreign companies to pay for gas by enabling Russia to convert their payments into rubles would be a breach of European Union sanctions. Those comments from the EU's energy chief, they came after a meeting of energy ministers in Brussels. Russia cut gas supplies to Bulgaria and Poland last week for refusing to comply with its payment scheme. Moscow has said foreign gas buyers must deposit euros or dollars into an account at a privately owned Russian bank, which would then convert them into rubles. The European Commission is expected to propose a sixth package of EU sanctions this week against Russia, including an embargo on buying Russian oil. The measure would deprive Moscow of a large revenue stream. Ambassadors from EU countries will discuss the proposed oil sanctions when they meet on Wednesday.
South Korea's ruling Democratic Party passed the last remaining bill on prosecution reform amid opposition protests. It completes a push to reduce and ultimately remove the prosecution's investigative powers. The revision to the Criminal Procedure Act follows Saturday's passage of revisions to the Prosecutor's Office Act that reduced the prosecution's investigative powers to 2 crime types, corruption and economic crimes, from 6 before removing them completely. The ruling Democratic Party also passed a bill to create a special judiciary reform committee to discuss the establishment of a crime investigative unit like the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation. A group of mainland scientists are working to establish a meteorological monitoring station on the world's highest peak, Mount Everest. The Chinese Academy of Sciences said the station will be set up at an altitude of 8,800 meters on Mount Everest. It will replace the existing stations set up by scientists from the UK and the US in 2019 as the world's highest meteorological monitoring station. China aims to set up a total of 8 meteorological stations. The engineers in charge of establishing the station are still waiting for better weather for mountaineering. That's the news. Thanks for watching.
Good night.